almost 20 years, I worked in local governments around the country, and I walked away from it all. And when I say walked away, I mean I walked away. I woke up one morning, meditated for a few hours, then walked to my computer and typed up my resignation notice. I was tired. I was worn out, and I was really frustrated. I was frustrated with the fact that I was an executive level person in government, trying to get executive level employees to make decisions not just for the people who had power, but for every citizen in our cities. So I gave up, and I just simply walked away. The truth is, even those of us that have the greatest intentions, we grow weary as well. But realistically, I checked out. I had checked out many years before. I had achieved my greatest professional goal, to be a city manager, one of the youngest to be appointed in the country. I was no longer concerned with career moves. I was concerned with results. Doing the right thing for the right people that quite honestly paid my salary. But it doesn't always happen that way. And tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the power of voices and hopefully get you to understand that every last one of our voices, it's our currency. It's our value. As a former government employee, I am quite aware of those individuals who predominantly get what they want. Their voices are heard. And unfortunately, for the most vulnerable in our society, especially in our disenfranchised communities, their voices don't really mean anything. That's the truth. And I know it to be the truth. I have 20 years of experience knowing that. So tonight, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Forget everything that you know. Everything. Everything that you've been taught. I only want you to focus on your inner compassion. I want you to focus on those things that you've seen, that you've observed, those things that you've personally experienced. I want you to walk away better coming in. Better coming in. I want you to leave better going out. So here's the truth. If we look at certain things that have happened throughout our country, we can automatically see the disparities. We're all created equal, but truthfully, we are all not treated equally. So let's start with one, Flint, Michigan, 2015. We've all heard about Flint. We've all seen the dark, brown, murky water that's coming out of these faucets for thousands of people in the city of Flint. Have we not? We've seen it. And the truth is, everyone around the world is hearing about it. What's even more upsetting, the people of Flint have been talking about this for years. Years. And it wasn't until 2015 that the rest of us really knew anything about it. But we're all always getting so excited about what's happening elsewhere. We want to change the world. We want to impact change. But you know what? There's a lot going on right here in our backyards. Did you know, not even 50 miles away from here, right here in North Texas, there's a community without running water. It's 2016. These folks have been speaking for decades. And the government's response? It's too expensive to put running water in their homes. We can't be so concerned about what's happening everywhere around us that we're not willing to take care of what's happening right here near us. It's not their problem. It's not their problem. It's all of our problems. If we don't understand that what happens in our neighboring communities has an ability to spill over into our community, we've missed it because we've not paid attention to the voices. When I was a city manager, I had an experience with a very long-term resident. He came to see me every day. And when I say every day, I mean every day. When I first got to the city every morning, I drove around. That was my job. I drove around 15, 20, 30 minutes. I took down notes, potholes, trash, dirty parks, people hanging out, whatever the case may be. I passed it along to my police chief, to my public works director, my code enforcement officers. I passed the information around. But when City Hall opened at 8:30 and I heard the click, click, my favorite resident was coming in the door to often tell me about the things that I had already noted. And after a few weeks of that, I really got frustrated. But I always let him finish because he was a long-term city resident. And what I think the value is hearing everything someone has to say to really understand the problem. But after months of doing that, I really got frustrated one morning. And I said, "What is it that you want me to do?" And that's just how I said it. And his response, "Kimberly, I want you to hear our voices." That is the greatest lesson that I have ever learned as a career public servant. What I learned on that day was that it didn't matter how long he lived there. It didn't matter what I did every single morning. What mattered is that I heard his voice and the voices of others, and that I was serious about my job. Truth is, I was the second or third city manager in 2 to 3 years. The track record of the city wasn't the greatest when it came to senior level management, so he really did have a concern. But something happened on that day. He became my greatest advocate. He stopped coming every single day because I got it. And I consider myself to be a servant leader. I do. But on that day, I realized servant leadership will forever be about you all before it could ever be about me. And as you notice, there are no slides. I have no statistical data for you. It's not about that. I've lived it, I've experienced it, I've done it. I don't need data to tell you what we need to be doing differently. The most vulnerable in our society, those are the ones who matter. And if we paid attention to their voices and we acted accordingly, can you imagine the kind of change we can all impact? Not just me, not just people that work for government, not just people in the community, all of us. I'm going to leave you with this last story. It's about a little boy. I was running a nonprofit organization in Washington, D.C. for a Pro Football Hall of Famer. We ran an academic enrichment and character building after-school program. Our job was to teach children that above all, their voices mattered first. We had a mayor from a neighboring city that wanted to replicate our center in his community. So as we always do, we invite them, schedule a meeting. Myself or staff, we would give the basic information, program services, associated costs. But the children were the tour guides. We taught them that those centers were theirs first. We were just the employees. We were there to train them. But we wanted them to understand that the power in their voices, it didn't matter if they were from low economic neighborhoods. The power in their voice, they had to speak up for themselves because they were their greatest advocates. So the mayor came. I started the information, program services, associated costs, and then I said our student would provide him with a tour. He smiled, like most mayors would. And we started the tour. And as our tour guide is taking him and sharing the information about our different services and the types of programs that they have, he started talking about this unique program where we taught children about the value of actual money. Every child had a job in our center. We had a president, a secretary, and a CFO. The CFO was responsible for issuing checks for the jobs that they did within the centers. They also had debits and taxes. They received increases and demotions based on their character in school and in our centers. So he's telling the mayor about this program, and he got to the part about taxes. And like most mayors, with this smile, he said, "What do you know about taxes?" And with the most concerned and serious tone, he said, "I know we pay a lot in taxes, and I know taxes are supposed to help my school, and it doesn't, because we don't have everything that we need." Well, the mayor was shocked, and so was I. Not because he was able to communicate about taxes, not because he was articulating his concern. I was shocked at the level of conviction in which he stated it. To a mayor, no less. I was proud. I was proud of myself as the leader of the organization. I was proud of my staff for teaching these babies what they needed to know. But most importantly, I was proud of that elementary school-aged little boy who had the courage to stand up and use his voice to tell a mayor, basically, that local school dollar taxes sucked. So here's what I want to leave you with tonight. Your voices. Your voices make a difference. It doesn't matter your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your socio-economic status, or your culture. All of our voices should be the same. Sometimes our most vulnerable need our help in communicating their concerns. But you have to be willing to listen and hear their concerns. Because what if someone muted you? What if someone didn't listen to your concerns? What if someone just pushed you to the side, said we'll get to it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road? How would you feel? Because at the end of the day, your voice has power, and your voice is your currency too. Thank you.